All right, let's dive straight into the Philadelphia Eagles, who just absolutely dominated the Dallas Cowboys. Now, while I do acknowledge that the Cowboys aren't the most elite team in the NFL, they're certainly no slouches. They've been playing good football recently, and they're not a team you can just ignore. What makes the Eagles' performance even more impressive is the fact that they did all of this without their starting quarterback, Jalen Hurts. Instead, they had Kenny Pickett under center. Don't get me wrong, Pickett isn't a bad quarterback, but he's not Hurts either. Despite this, the Eagles managed to score 41 points and win the game 41-7, which speaks volumes about the talent this team has. We saw an offensive performance from the Eagles that was incredibly well-rounded, from the wide receivers to the running backs to the offensive line. Every unit played well, and we can't overlook the defense, which was nearly flawless. In a game where you'd expect the Cowboys to challenge a little more, the Eagles stepped up, showing that they're hitting their stride at the perfect time with the playoffs just around the corner. With Jalen Hurts likely returning soon, I really believe the Eagles are going to be a huge threat in the postseason. I can't think of a single team in the NFL that's looking forward to playing them. Before we dive in, kindly like the video and subscribe to the channel. Your support means a lot. To understand why this win was so significant, let's take a step back and look at the Cowboys' recent form. They've been playing solid football over the past few weeks. They've beaten the Buccaneers, who are a strong team, and they've taken down the Washington Commanders as well. On top of that, they almost beat the Bengals, a team with a top-tier offense. So heading into this matchup, I thought it might be a closer game. The Cowboys' defense, led by Micah Parsons, had been playing well, and I thought they might be able to slow down the Eagles' offense, especially with Kenny Pickett starting at quarterback. But as it turned out, that wasn't the case at all. The Eagles might have started off a little slow, but once Kenny Pickett found his rhythm and got more comfortable, Coach Kel Moore started trusting his receivers down the field. Every time the Eagles threw the ball, their receivers were making plays. It didn't matter who was covering them. That's one of the key takeaways from this game. The Eagles' receivers were constantly open, and they made incredible catches, whether it was wide open or heavily contested. Devonta Smith was absolutely incredible. He looked like a superstar on the field. We saw him get open multiple times, showcasing his route running and speed, but he also made some jaw-dropping contested catches. And let's not forget A.J. Brown, who played really well too. When you have two receivers like Smith and Brown, it's hard to stop this offense, especially when both players are capable of making huge plays on any given down. The Cowboys had Dante Blando out there, one of the best corners in the league, but it didn't matter. A.J. Brown got open against him, and so did Devonta Smith. With this level of play from the wide receivers, it's hard to imagine any defense being able to stop this offense, especially with Jalen Hurts coming back soon. Looking ahead, the Eagles will face some tough defenses in the playoffs, but I don't think it'll be a major issue for them. When you have an offense with weapons like Smith, Brown, and Hurts, and the ability to throw the ball down the field, it's going to be tough for defenses to keep up. Plus, with Dallas Goedert likely returning for the postseason, the Eagles' passing attack only becomes that much more dangerous. When you combine the passing game with a strong running game, the Eagles have one of the most complete offenses in the NFL. Speaking of the running game, while it did start a little slow in this game, it eventually broke out. Just like we've seen from the Eagles all season, Saquon Barkley, who was outstanding in this game, ended up with over 160 yards rushing and averaged over 5 yards per carry. In the second half, it seemed like every time he touched the ball, he broke off a huge gain. His explosiveness was on full display, and credit needs to be given to both the offensive line and Barkley himself. The line did a great job of opening holes, but Saquon did what he does best, hitting the holes with speed and power, and then using his skills to break tackles and gain extra yardage. As great as the offensive line has been all season, you can't overlook the talent of Saquon. He's one of the most explosive running backs in the league. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Saquon breaks the record for the most rushing yards in a season next week. If he does, it will be a fitting way to cap off an incredible individual performance, and it will only add to the impressive nature of this Eagles offense. Now, as much as we've talked about the offense, we also need to take a moment to appreciate how well the Eagles defense has been playing. They're not just good, they're one of the top defenses in the NFL. While no defense is perfect, the Eagles are as close to perfect as you can get. They're currently ranked number 1 in the league in total yards allowed per game, and they're also in the top 3 for points allowed per game. This is a defense that can do it all. A big reason for their defensive success is their pass rush, which has been phenomenal this season. Defensive coordinator Vic Fangio deserves a lot of credit for the way he's used the defensive line to create constant pressure. Coming into the season, I knew that Fangio would bring creativity and innovation to the defense, and he's done just that. As a result, the Eagles are in the top 12 for total sacks and are consistently generating pressure on opposing quarterbacks. Sacks are important, but pressures are just as crucial, and the Eagles have been getting both. Along with the pass rush, the Eagles have one of the best run defenses in the league. That starts up front with the defensive line, but it doesn't stop there. Linebacker Zach Bond has been playing like so good and making big plays every week. He's been a constant presence in the run game and the pass rush, and he's helped solidify a front seven that is almost impossible to run against. With Bond and the defensive line playing at such a high level, most teams just can't get their ground game going against the Eagles. When you pair a great pass rush with strong run defense, it gives the secondary a huge advantage. The Eagles' secondary, which includes rookies like Cooper DeJean and Kenan Mitchell, has been outstanding. While they're still young, both of these players have had excellent seasons. They've stepped up in big moments, and they're only going to continue to improve. I'm incredibly high on this team's chances this season, and with the balance they've shown, it's hard to see any other team being a bigger contender. The Eagles are one of the most complete teams in the NFL, and they're poised to make a serious Super Bowl run this year.